What we did right. We had a clear, focused vision on what we wanted our company to be, and we did not waver from that vision. I would say the 5 key levers to our success was quality, innovative product, number 1. Number 2, our premier sales organization. 3, we had impressive global PR. 4, a strong CFO, can't say enough about a chief financial officer. And 5, impressive execution of all operations. To achieve these results, I put together a powerful team. And it's funny, I just heard a speaker, the former editor of Cosmopolitan magazine was at GW when I was there, and she said, if you keep thinking you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I thought that was interesting because you need smart people around you when you build a company. You need people smarter than you in certain areas. You may have the vision, but they may have a great understanding of finance or product or whatever. And I think that's something that we did well. Let's skip a little this. And then again, I want to stress public relations. No matter what you're doing, you need to market your brand. You need to market your brand to sell your products, but also should you hope to exit and sell your company to L'Oreal or Amway or whomever, you need to get your name out there. And so we had great PR. Laura was on the Today Show, she was on Oprah Winfrey. Oprah chose it as one of her top 10 gifts one Christmas, and it blew our system up. I mean, we just had so many requests. So that kind of PR is just worth its weight in gold. So what did we do wrong? We had a lot going for us. I had tremendous contacts. I started with $3.5 million and Bobby Brown started with $350,000. But in the end, it took me $12 million. So I didn't have adequate money. Probably most entrepreneurs will tell you they undercapitalize and don't realize how undercapitalized they are. I had options, family and friends, and then I realized that even rich friends don't want to lose their money. Didn't want to lose my family and my friends and my company. Then you have venture capital firms who want a very big piece of your company. Sometimes that's the right thing for you. But I knew the guys at Neiman Marcus. I trusted them. Their deal was that they had to own 51%. If I could do it over, I probably would have done anything besides sell it 51% because I wish I could have kept my company 5 more years. But they had 51%, so I had nothing to say when they decided to sell it. Packaging. Initially, I underestimated how important packaging was, and yet I was in prestige cosmetics. I didn't hire a packaging designer. I didn't have very much money. I put it all into product. So I had great product, but kind of ugly packaging. And then everyone around you, when you have your own company, they tell you how smart you are, and they don't tell you how ugly your packaging is. And then customers started telling us. So I then decided to repackage, which was very, very costly, and why I had to take a partner in. But it turned out to be the right thing, and today, if you look at Laura Mercier, very few people remember, luckily, the original packaging. And then, finally, something I did wrong, which I didn't realize, but when Amway bought Laura Mercier, they hired McKinsey to do an analysis of my company, which I found one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life. Because I thought I had done a great thing, and they brought in all these MBAs from Washington. I don't know why they were from Washington, but whatever. And they came in, like there'd be 20 of them, and I looked like you guys. And they came in with their little computers, and they would tell me what I had done wrong. And I was thinking, I'm the only person in this room that's built a company from 0 to 100, but okay, I'll listen. So for $1.6 million, which is what that cost for my McKinsey bill, not that I remember, but anyway, they said I had flag planted. And flag planting was that if Greece called, I sold them. I didn't know Greece was going to go bust, but at the time, someone wanted to buy Laura Mercier, I would sell it. And they were saying I had left too much in the United States. That really for a brand to be great in its home country, especially if its home country is the United States, it's got to be very powerful. So I then decided to sell Sephora, which I had not sold. And today, Laura Mercier, as I say, does a tremendous business with Sephora US. So I will say the McKinsey girls had something gave me a plus there. But so those would be my three kind of criticisms of myself. So in 2008, when I left, I decided to take a break. I thought how exciting that I could take a break, and I lived in Italy for a while. I lived in Tuscany. I rented a villa, and I took art history and did all the things I had not done in college. But then I realized I love working. So I came back, and the family that had owned Neiman Marcus in Bergdorf had started a private equity firm called Castanea, and I joined them. And I am a partner. I do live in Houston, but I am in Boston all the time. And so our first company we bought together, we buy consumer product brands. And our first company we bought March 2009 was Urban Decay Cosmetics, which you may know. It is the #2 brand at Sephora, better than Laura Mercier, but that's okay. We bought it in March 2009, and we bought it for $40 million, and we sold it to L'Oreal in December for $360 million, so that was fun. And I decided I liked private equity, and I should have done that a long time ago. And today we own Donald Pliner. We are investors in Hippolyta Jewelry. A lot of people say Hippolyta, but it's Hippolyta. TRX exercise equipment are some of the companies that we are either investors or we own. Our sweet spot is for companies doing between 20 and 40 million in revenues. We don't do startups, but the most recent company we invested in January of last year is called Drybar, DRYBAR. I liked it so much I personally invested in it as well as Castanea. We own about 45% of it. It's not in Houston yet, but coming in June. We have 27 locations. We wash and blow your hair dry. And it is one of the best brands I've ever seen. We have some knockoffs here in Houston who do similar work, but as I explained to my partners, 11 men, 6 of whom are bald, that there are many coffee shops, but there's only one Starbucks, and I believe that is Drybar. And we have 7 locations in Manhattan. We have 3 locations in Dallas. We have 10 locations in Los Angeles. They're based in Newport Beach, California. I'm so impressed with them. Allie Webb and Michael Landau, brother and sister, who founded it. In fact, Allie and I gave a lecture at George Washington together, which was really fun because she's at the beginning of her brand building. It's very exciting. Our first Houston location will be open at Uptown Park in June, I think June. We are presently negotiating for a second one at Highland Village. The interesting thing about my career, I think, is that it is just a great, simple American success story. I have a public school education from the state of Mississippi and a bachelor's degree in business from the University of Alabama. What I have that does not show on my resume is a tremendous desire to succeed and excel, a great ability to focus, and a very strong work ethic. I'm sure many of you have read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, The Story of Success. I love chapter 2 where he talks about the 10,000-hour rule. He studies specifically the Beatles and Bill Gates. His analysis shows that it takes about 10,000 hours or 10 years of serious study or practice to reach the highest levels of success. In quoting Gladwell, the people at the very top don't work just harder or even much harder than everyone else. They work much, much, much harder. If I was starting a business today, or if I was a young Rice graduate looking for the right industry to pursue, I would look at several things. 1, what industries do you think would be fairly recession-proof in the next 5 to 10 years? In my case, I would not start a color cosmetics brand today, but I'd probably start an organic brand. You try to look at the white spaces. And I give Drybar a lot of credit. That's a white space. No one was doing that, and we want to have the top 10 cities, 100 doors of Drybar. I also would not just sell the upscale tier, which is what I did with Laura Mercier. I now realize there's multi-channels of distribution, QVC, online, lots of options that I would have a more multifaceted distribution model. Secondly, I would choose industries, products, services, or geographic locations that appeal to you. I talk a lot about careers, and I think make your career work for you. If you love San Francisco, try to make your career be in San Francisco. If you love Victoria's Secret, work there. I mean, try to make your career work in your life so it all integrates together. 3 areas that I think would be of interest, obviously in Houston, companies that would deal with alternative energy sources. Secondly, products that appeal to a baby boomer generation, and I think Spanx is one of the greatest ones. And then thirdly, obviously life-changing technology companies, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook. And then finally, if you can find a white space, and somebody in here will, like Allie and Michael did with Drybar, if you do it well and execute your idea well, there will be money that will come with it and help you reach your goal. One final thing, and that is, I think to be successful, and I left college some time ago, I think that you always have to be a student. I mean, recently, I just read Cheryl's Lean In, and I really recommend, if you haven't read it, to really read it, because I obviously leaned in. She says you need to, when you're at the table with all the guys, make sure you know your ideas is valid, your thoughts is strong, and make sure you lean in and say it. And she wrote a great book about all this. But I didn't realize how many times I had not leaned in, especially in my 20s and 30s at Foley's when I was the only woman at the table. I think for your generation, it should be so much easier. But you're in a very competitive workplace. I mean, each generation gets its own set of situations. And maybe for me, it was lucky I didn't have all of you to compete with. But I do think it will be, there'll be many women at the table, but make sure that you're comfortable and that you lean in. The other thing she said that I thought was good, this was later in her book, is, because I got some questions from Ming Ming that you guys had about work-life balance. And she obviously is one of the most successful women in the United States, Chief Operating Officer of Facebook, but she said you must choose a mate who's going to support what you want. And when I was, in college, there weren't any of those. So, but today, I think it's a very, very different time. So, I think it's a very good point she makes, and it's obviously something she's done. I like to close my prepared remarks with a quote. I once did hear Oprah Winfrey give a lecture, and she was interviewed at the end, and the interviewer asked her how much of her success was luck. She quoted someone else, but she said, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and I could not agree more. But I've been very lucky, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.